Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Thrive Love podcast. If you're just tuning in for the first time, thank you. We have a very special guest. What a good episode to start on. Today we are sitting down with a special lady who's been talking about the importance of eating organic, sourcing your own food, and cutting out all the toxins and chemicals that are in our house and on our clothing and just around our day-to-day lives. This guest has been talking for over 10 years around the world and Australia. She's the former CEO of Kora Organics and the mother of Miranda Kerr. Today we have sitting with us Therese Kerr. I hope you enjoy the episode and thank you. Well, Therese, first of all, thank you for having Chris and myself at your beautiful homestead here, just a couple of hours outside of Sydney. And I have to say, like, every time I visit this area, I feel rejuvenated and energized, and when I leave, I feel like my cup's full. And I know that's like a direct response to the love and energy that you've put into this place. And it all starts at the home, right? And I'm a big believer in like the I, we, all mentality. And for those listening that are not sure what that is, it's like you serve yourself first, so then you're fit to serve your family, and then your family's fit to serve the community, your tribe, and then so on to the world, right?
Yeah.
And your family is like a true embodiment of that. And I just recognize that you've fully created your queendom here. And that's not to take away from Johnny. I know this is his kingdom as well, but behind every great man's an even greater woman. And I just want to say that I recognize what you're doing here at the home, and it's like the ripple effect out into the world. So thank you. And with saying that, welcome, Therese, to the Thrive Life podcast. How are you doing this morning?
I'm great, thank you, and thank you for having me. And that was really beautiful, because I believe that, you know, a place is reflective of our energy. And if you put the energy of love, you know, and you're always asking, I always come back to what would love do now, you know, in anything that I do. And, you know, this place, honestly, you feel the energy, you feel the love when you come here. And that's beautiful. And, you know, just being in nature and resurrecting this to what it is now, our garden, and, you know, our organic garden, and also the non-use of chemicals as such on this property. So returning nature to nature as it should be is just so, it's just so what I love to do. And then to be able to spread that energy and that love, and to showcase something that nature provides us with in its absolute beauty is just magical for me.
Beautiful. I love it.
Yeah.
So I'll start with this question. What's keeping you thriving, and what is thriving in your life today?
Yeah. So in one word, gratitude. Gratitude, being grateful for everything, being grateful for, most importantly, being loved and being able to love my family. I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful for the fact that we are able to take a breath, wake up every morning, you know, and be here. So many people don't have that opportunity. My mum passed away when she was 50 as such, and I was pregnant with my beautiful girl, and so she never got to experience my children. And when that sort of thing happens, you know, you owe it to the person who has passed and yourself to thrive, to be the best version of yourself that you can be, and, you know, to be grateful, to be in wonderment of life. And that's what I try to live by every day, is, you know, seeing the wonderment in a flower, seeing the wonderment in a tree, you know, seeing the beauty within people, and seeing the gift that is life.
Beautiful. Well, I'll tell you what is thriving, your garden, especially the vegetable and herb garden. There's like bees, birds, flowers and butterflies everywhere. So does that garden sustain you all year round, or most of the year round? Or
it does. So we eat seasonally. So whatever we have available, or what we plant for the season, we consume. So we eat predominantly from the farm. We're not vegetarian. We eat a little bit of meat, a little bit of chicken. I get organic salmon from Scotland as such, and that arrives frozen, but it's beautiful. But mostly our farm, you know, sustains us, which is so lovely. And to be able to go down and to eat live food, it's magical. It is purely magical. And coming from previously, when I first I became unwell, you know, a little bit of my story, and we'll talk more about that. But when I wasn't into gardening or I didn't have time because I was in corporate, it's such a blessing to have your own garden and to grow your own food and to have that food provide all the nutrients. You know what's in it, or you know what's not in it as such, and it's beautiful. And to have that high nutrient content food is amazing. It's fresh from your garden.
Yeah. What's your favourite thing to go and harvest and then bring straight in the kitchen and prep?
Snow peas.
Oh.
I go down and I eat our snow peas and straight off the tree.
Yeah.
You know, or I'll go and eat lettuce, or I'll even eat the chive flowers, you know, just straight from their plant. But and the tomatoes and the basil, and going down there and grabbing a tomato and some of the basil and wrapping it together and having that, you know, it's magical.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Like what you said with the flower heads on the chives, I wait till they go on a seed and then I sprinkle the seeds on top of salads and stuff. It just gives it that little kick.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually eat the flowers, bolus, and they're lovely.
Yeah, so what does growing food mean to you? And maybe for the listeners that can't grow their own food, why do you think it's important that we vote with our dollar?
Well, to me, growing my own food is magical because I know exactly what isn't in it. You know, when we shop in the supermarkets and such, you know, and most people, unfortunately, that's all they have the opportunity to do. But growing my own food, I know that it's as pure as it can possibly be, that the nutrient content is as rich as it can possibly be. When you have mass-produced food, you lose a lot of the nutrient content. You, unfortunately, there's pesticides, insecticides, herbicides, you know, in our everyday lives and in our food that we eat. And when you grow your own, you have the opportunity to completely avoid that. And that's magical because our body is our temple.
Yeah.
And trying to support it as much as you can by removing toxins, because there are so many chemicals in our lives that are impacting our health, and we have a rate of illness we've never had before. For people who don't have the opportunity to grow their own food, I would recommend definitely eating organic as much as you possibly can. And when you eat organic, the nutrient content is more dense, so you eat less. And if there's anything we want to spend our money on, it's looking after our health, I believe. And trying to put as much nutrient content food in your body as you possibly can, and avoiding as many chemicals as you can.
Yeah. And voting with our dollar, like, you only have to look at the vegan movement. I'm not vegan, but you only have to look at that movement and see the demand, and it changed the restaurants, what's in the supermarkets now. Like, so exactly. that's a really good example for where voting with your dollar really counts.
And it's important to vote with your dollar. You know, we're promoting, you know, most people when they buy at the supermarket, and I always say, we know what we know what we don't know, but we don't know what we don't know until we know it. And I was exactly like that. You know, I didn't know, you know, about chemicals until a situation occurred in my life, a health situation that caused me to wake up and to learn. And every time we go to a supermarket and we buy food, we are voting with our dollar for that to continue, and mass production, and what are we doing to the planet? What is the cost, not only to ourselves and our own health, but also to the planet? I think we need to think broader, you know, as a consumer, as to what the impact is of our spending.
Absolutely. And the nutrient contents, like, it even tastes different. And like you said, you don't need to eat it as much. You don't need to scoff your face and like keep going on. But when I made the switch to organic, I noticed I really didn't need to eat as much. And as you know, I'm a horticulturist, but only for the past 2 years I've been growing my own vegetables since I moved out to the farm. And it's so satisfying. And I have to give you gratitude for your garden, because it's all organic, and anyone can put drugs on their plants, aka chemical fertilizers, right? But to work with the soil and compost and do everything organically, you can taste the difference as well. And I'll just have this little share. I remember when my wife was pregnant, I was putting broccoli into the garden, and I remember when I was watering in, I was like, when my son's born, when he's earthside, I'm going to be pulling this out of the ground, serving it to my wife, and then she's going to be delivering those minerals to him through the milk. So
how
it's
beautiful.
It was such a cool experience. Health, I guess that's a good segue into your health story or your hero's journey. So what what happened that changed? Because you thought you were healthy at one stage, and then something sort of popped up at Crossroads. So what happened there?
So in 2001, I had tumours in my spleen, and I had to have my spleen removed. And I thought I was healthy. But as I said, we only know what we know. We don't know what we don't know. And I didn't know of the impact of what I was putting in and on my body. And I'm a big believer that it's not only what we put in our body, but also what we put on our body, what we use in our homes as well. And they're all in some way contributing to our health or our decline of our health. So having tumours in my spleen, it was a massive wake-up call. And then I started researching the different chemicals in our everyday products, in our food, and I was absolutely gobsmacked, to learn of the chemicals in our personal care products, in our shampoos, in our cooking appliances, and the terrible, chemicals that are used in food production, and also food additives and so on. And then I started a journey, and I lectured for a long time with Professor Mark Cohen at different events, and he's a specialist in toxicology. He's a medical doctor. He was a professor at RMIT University. We did a lot of work together and educating people. And, I've, since 2001, having tumours in my spleen, I've lived and breathed health. And I share with people on the basis that take from this what serves you, leave what doesn't, but at least be informed and educated so that you can make informed choices. Yeah, because we don't know, we can't make informed choices. So I don't push this down anybody's throat as such, saying you really need to eat organic. It's your choice. But at least educate yourself, if not for yourself, but also for your children, to know what you're putting in your body and or what you're passing down to your children. You mentioned about your wife and pregnancy and breastfeeding. So babies are being born literally with hundreds of chemicals in their little bodies now. And that's because one of the fastest ways we detox as a woman is to have a baby. Another really fast way that we detox is through breastfeeding. So our breast milk is very high fat content. Chemicals that we can't get rid of in our body, we store in our fat. And we pass those chemicals onto our children when we're pregnant and when we're breastfeeding. And most people are alarmed to hear that.
Wow. And was it endometriosis as well?
Yeah, I had endometriosis.
So for the listeners, how does that affect the body?
So endometriosis is all to do with the uterus and hormones, and it can be very, very painful as such. It can cause infertility in many cases as such. Also, I had to have an operation in regard to that, and it's not the most pleasant. It's a horrific thing to go through, endometriosis. And again, you looked at what have I done to my body to cause that, and I believe that is also most of, our body is unique. It is beautiful. It has the ability to heal itself in most cases if we give it the nutrition and if we remove the things that are causing the problems as such. So my journey's been an extremely interesting one to health and wellness, and now I live and breathe health and wellness, and it's so beautiful to do that.
It's so inspiring to hear your story and hear where you've come from, because it's crazy. Like when you look at the statistics of what's in our food and that umbrella of grass, like generally regarded as safe. That's the umbrella that they put all these chemicals in. It's like, it might be generally regarded as safe, but when it's in every single food that we're eating, it's not a microdose anymore. It's probably a macrodose, right? Totally. So what was the journey like for you? Because that led into the birth of Kora Organics and eventually the Divine Company as well. So was that like a light bulb moment, or was there a process and it was slowly birthed, or how did that actually come about?
So when I had tumours in my spleen, I did this and I'm a sponge for information and research, and I just read, and I love to learn. I believe that we're here to learn and to grow, and we're here for the evolution of our soul, basically allowing ourselves to grow and to be, to learn as much as we can. And one of my favourite saying is there's so much we don't know, and we're here to learn. When I had tumours in my spleen, I was looking for products. So Kora was formed or founded in 2008, released onto the market in 2009. I became the CEO within about 4 months of it being being released as such. But why it came about is we were looking for products that were certified organic, and not just organic, because organic in this country, a company can claim something's organic if it has one natural ingredient, but it may contain thousands of chemicals and still be classed as organic.
Yeah.
So there is a huge deception around the word organic. Certified organic gives you the assurance and the guarantee that it's free from a lot of the nasties as such, and there's specific guidelines that need to be followed. So and it's a challenging process to be certified organic, and it's expensive, and buying the raw materials are expensive. But Miranda started Kora Organics. It was a real family business as such, and then Miranda specifically was providing younger people skincare, and then we merged into the Divine company, which is now being sold, which is more anti-aging. Now Kora has gone into anti-aging, and that's all I use on my skin. And Miranda's taking the world by storm. She's been a leader in the certified organic skincare industry, and in educating people and providing products through nature that have much better results than what you will buy through what you actually will get through chemical based products as such, and they support, not hinder your body. So it's amazing.
So maybe let's talk a little bit about some of the things that are in the household, like from maybe cleaning products to what we're cooking on, that might be microdosing us, or that are microdosing us with these toxins that you talk about.
So personal care products, so your deodorants, your body washes, even your makeup, skincare, body lotions as such, all the skincare, there's so many different chemicals. I can rattle off a couple in regard to that. Phenoxyethanol, for example, polysorbate 20, all the glycols, which are what they call absorption enhancers or penetration enhancers that cause the other chemicals to be absorbed into your body faster. Octocrylene, for goodness sake, it's a chemical that's in our sunscreen that produces damaging reactive species upon exposure to sunlight, which means it actually causes cancer when you're in the sun, yet it's in our skincare, in our sunscreen products that are promoted, and people are using them unaware of these chemicals as such that are in there. And I'm all about, as I said, educating and giving people healthier alternatives, or showcasing healthier alternatives. And, Little Urchin is a fantastic alternative for sunscreen. There are others, but that's one that I really, really love and I use. And I'm not getting paid to say that, just putting that out there. I just share this information so that people can have access to healthier products. Even our cooking utensils, and I was unaware of this until I started researching. So cooking utensils that have Teflon coated, the slick surface that everybody loves because it's so easy to cook eggs or cook meat on, and it just slides around. That is so toxic. All of the personal care products and shampoos and conditioners, most of them will contain fragrances as such, and that word fragrance can contain literally thousands of chemicals that never have to be listed on the label, because it comes under proprietary interest or intellectual property. Now, phthalates are or BPAs and all of that type of chemical, they are endocrine or hormone disrupting. So they mimic the female hormone estrogen, causing estrogen dominance within the body. And they're in just about every product that's on the market, because every product contains, or just about every product contains the word fragrance as such, and full of phthalates. And they are linked to ovarian cancer, breast cancer, to testicular cancer, thyroid cancer, impacting your endocrine system, Hashimoto's, underactive and overactive thyroid as such. So removing those is one of the best things you can do to support your body. Well, how do you remove them? Most of these chemicals are fat soluble, so they're stored in our fat, and our body doesn't have the ability, our liver is so overworked, it doesn't have the ability to remove all these chemicals, so our body stores those chemicals, those toxins in our fat. The only real way to remove those chemicals is to lose the fat, to try and get rid of the fat as much as you can. You can do detox baths, with diatomaceous earth and all the different things to help support your body. But one of the quickest ways to remove those toxins is to really do fasting, remove fat. And especially if you're planning to have children, you know, I really encourage people to detox prior to ever having children, because you don't want to dump that toxic load onto your child, you know, during pregnancy.
It's very triggering, me now being a father and knowing what's just the chemical soup that we're swimming in, really. And I can only control what I can control in my household. But, you know, I drive down the highway and there's grapevines everywhere that are getting sprayed with fungicides and herbicides, and it's like, I can control what I can control, but how do we avoid that outside environment? And
you really can't, unless we as a collective, you know, transform it. And that comes back to, you know, choosing with our dollar, choosing wisely. Even our wine, you're talking about vineyards, we have an organic vineyard, and it's hard work. It's a lot. It'd be a lot easier for us to spray, you know, but we don't. You know, we spend months of our life down at the vineyard looking after our grapes, and they're all organic. And the I guess the payoff of that, you know, even though the cost is hard work, the payoff is knowing what you're putting in your body is incredible. And it's highly nutritious, even though it's wine. Not drinking too much, but just, you know, just having a glass of wine knowing it's free of those chemicals and such is amazing.
I did try your wine last year. Was Come What May?
Come What May.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Miranda's middle name is May, and then my mum's middle name was May. So
cool.
we've got Come What May, beautiful rosé. And then this last year we did a Beaujolais style, which is like a Pinot Noir, light red, and we also have a Shiraz for the first time since we've been here, because the weather dried up a little. So that's good. Sorry, we've gone off the subject.
That's all good. It's, let the conversation flow. Like, it can be quite overwhelming. I remember when I started making the switch to better products in the home, I was like, where do I even begin? And what Kira and I did, my wife, we chose to do rooms of the house. So we started with the bathroom, because we thought that was the most toxic place. So cleaned up all the soaps and the cleaners and the toothpaste. And then we went out to the kitchen, and then the cleaning products. So I think if we, instead of just trying to change everything all at once, just take little steps and don't overwhelm yourself.
I love that. And that's exactly what I say to people. You know, take it step by step. Change your toothpaste. You know, fluoride, a lot of people are proponents and supporters of fluoride. Fluoride is a known neurotoxin, you know, and I've spoken, as I said, many times with Professor Mark Cohen about this, and he supports everything I say in regard to that. You know, even fluoride in our water. We have a huge, 4 water systems on our house as such, because our town water, we also have rainwater, but the town water, we filter it to remove chlorine, fluoride, you know, residue of pesticides, herbicides, pharmaceutical residues, you know, so, and our water in our house, even the showering water, is all filtered. And it's so beautiful to know that, you know, when you're having a bath, that you're not bathing in chlorinated filled water or fluoride filled water, because what you put on your skin will be absorbed up to about 10 times faster than by way of even eating products. That's why it's so important to look at what you're putting on your skin by way of body washes and body lotions, especially ones that you leave on as well, and makeup is so full of chemicals as well. So, but this can be all overwhelming, and you just take it a step at a time, and slowly you'll end up with a house that is chemical free as much as it can be, because even our carpets, they have off-gassing, you know all of the Scotch guarding materials that they use, there's off-gassing and so on. So, and we can only do what we can do, but minimizing and preventing, you know, is the best thing that you can do, is to, you know, switch out.
Just doing the best we can. So why do you think people wait for that crisis moment?
I think they just don't know. They simply don't know. I didn't know. I was unaware. With the internet, there's more awareness now in regard to, you know, chemicals and such. But I think people are so busy. You know, our lives are so busy trying to make ends meet with the increasing cost of living. People are just so busy, and they buy things that are cheap, but they're cheap for a reason.
Yeah.
And you just got to look at, okay, what's the cost of your purchases? We've got so many kids with, eczema and, challenging skin problems as well. And I was speaking to a father yesterday who started using the Kora products because his son had eczema. And when I was the CEO of Kora, I remember there was this young boy who had eczema so bad. I looked at his photo and I cried. I'm like, let's help this little boy. And we sent him guidelines and sent his parents guidelines how to use the products. We sent him products, and we saw an incredible transition. And he went for the first time on a holiday with his family. He couldn't go before because his skin was so bad and his little lips were all broken out with eczema. He had eczema all over his little body. And then as a result of using Kora, nutrient-dense skincare on his little body, removing toxins, it transformed, his life and allowed him to be a normal little boy. And that was beautiful. But I think to answer your question, people don't know. They're so busy. If they knew better, they'd do better.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, people don't know better. And I think that people see cost as a barrier.
Yeah.
But ultimately, our health is the most important thing, and our loved ones. And we need to honour our body. We need to honour the temple that we've been given, to live this life in.
Yeah. It's funny that word cost, because like people cheap out on the cost of things, but what's it costing your body?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what, if it means giving up coffee, if it means giving up other things, honour yourself enough and your children enough, and I don't want to be judgmental at all in regard to that. We can only do what we can do with the means that we have, but it is so important to, especially nowadays, to remove that toxic load. Because I often say our genes are the gun, but the environment pulls the trigger.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that saying, if you have a big enough dream, you don't need the crisis.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I certainly hit my crisis as well with depression and addiction, and definitely hit my rock bottom. And I heard Charles Eisenstein say a couple of weeks ago that you only hit rock bottom because you've chosen to climb out of it. Yeah. So you've created a bottom. But if you choose that path of least resistance, there's a bottom under that, and under that, and under that, until you've created yourself a living hell. Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So what are some of the products that Kora Organics have?
Yeah.
Because I've got at home the Berry Bright Vitamin C that I've been putting on my eyes, because I have really sensitive eyes, and that really cleared up some of my skin conditions.
Okay.
And I think the turmeric moisturizer as well.
The turmeric glow moisturizer.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
it's beautiful. And then Miranda's just released another retinol alternative that is proving. You can go to the website coraorganics.com and you can see the results there. There's been studies in regard to that proving to be even more effective than the normal retinol as such. And it's a beautiful product. There's also a retinol serum. There's a Noni Glow face oil, which is amazing. Important to cleanse our skin as well, especially if you're out working. We're on the farm and I'm covered in dust most of the time, so it's important to cleanse your skin and also to protect your skin, to put barriers on your skin, because oxidative stress, free radicals cause oxidative stress on your body. Our body produces free radicals, as well as we have free radicals externally being presented to our body basically every second of every day. You only have to leave an apple on a table that's cut. What happens to it? It goes brown. So what causes that? It's oxidative stress. So our body is subjected to that all the time, and we need to provide a barrier to prevent that oxidative stress from impacting our skin. So we have the turmeric moisturizer is beautiful, the foaming cleanser is amazing, and the mist, so it balances the pH of the skin. So there's a minty mist, which is amazing. It balances the pH, and only when your skin's pH is balanced can your body or your skin absorb the nutrients anyway. So it's important to do that. And I just recommend that people honor themselves by buying products that support, not hinder their body. And Kora Organics does that.
Beautiful. I once heard you say that we're greater than the sum total of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to unpack that a little bit?
Yeah, totally. So I believe that we're all energy as such, down to our minute cell, we're energy and light. I believe that we are part of a whole microorganism within the universe, that there is a ripple effect from everything that I do will in some way impact someone else. So we need to be responsible and understand that it's not all about us. That we're here for our journey. I believe we're here, as I mentioned, for the evolution of our soul, but everything we do has an impact on someone else. Our energy, I don't think you can argue nowadays. People can't argue that we're not energy, because if someone walks into a room and their energy is negative, we feel that. Well, what is that? What is that actually feels that? It's our intuition. It's our energy is either repelling or welcoming that other energy. But ultimately, the sum total, we are more than the sum total of ourselves, means that, we have to be responsible for, who we are at this soul journey that we're having, that somehow will impact. There will be a ripple effect from that, and that, bringing that beautiful energy of kindness and love is, to me, the most important thing that we can do in this world, and extending that out, sharing that energy. And, I always say my greatest goal in life was to raise children who are loving and kind and generous. I didn't care about anything else other than that, and being good people. And we have thankfully achieved that, because we've got two beautiful children, Miranda and Matthew, and they shine their lights on the world and make a difference, and that's beautiful.
Yeah, I briefly met Miranda, and I've met a few famous people in my life, and I never put them on a pedestal, but
Good.
I guess my experience with some other famous people, they kind of just shrug you off, even though I wasn't trying to put myself in their zone. I was just briefly saying hello, and they kind of rub you off. But when I met Miranda, she was so lovely, and her beauty shines through her soul, right?
Yeah.
Not just her skin.
Well, she's more beautiful on the inside. I always say that, and same with Matty.
Yeah.
They've got good hearts, and that's the most important thing. And with our kids, when they were little, I would always say, let your light shine, because I even had it engraved on the pillows on their beds, let your little light shine. And that's allowing them to know that they can be anything that they want to be, but ultimately to be a good, kind, loving person with a generous heart, and to be kind to everybody, and to be loving towards people, and allow that to shine through as much as possible. Yeah,
beautiful. Well, let's switch gears a little bit, because you and I have a mutual friend by the name of Johannes. Johannes is the founder of Breathless Australia, which is all breathwork retreats and workshops and stuff. So everyone I know that knows Johannes has a crazy story to tell. So have you got something to share with him?
Yeah. So Johannes is amazing, and I love him, and I've done a lot of ice bathing as such, and we were going to do it today, but after coming back from New Zealand, I had a bit of a flu. But when we went to New Zealand again to Maruya Hot Springs with Professor Mark Cohen, a group of people, and Johannes. And Johannes was one of the instructors, as was Professor Mark, and we did this ice bathing in the river. And my husband wouldn't get in because he hadn't done ice bathing. I'd done it probably 25 times before that. Anyway, he wouldn't get in the river, and Johannes went in, and then he went, for this big swim. I think he stayed in a little bit too long, because he got curled up we had heated hammocks, and he curled himself up in the heated hammocks after that. But the funny part about it was that Johannes was trying to convince my husband to get in the water, and it was only the last day that a Scotsman were in this sauna, and a Scottish guy who was there said, "Come on, Johnny, get in with me." Anyway, he did, and sorry about that.
That's all good.
Tuffy.
Tuffy being the tough dog.
Tuffy, get here. Sorry, we'll have to do that again.
No, that's totally fine.
Yes, so we'll go back to that part.
Do you want him back on the lap?
Yeah.
We'll bring him back up here, Tuffy.
Star of the show. What on earth are you doing, buddy? Hey? You're trying to be protective.
Yeah.
So I'll go back to the part where Johnny was in the sauna with this Scottish guy, and he said, "Come on, Johnny, get in the ice bath with me." Anyway, Johnny felt so warm in the sauna, he had a bit of courage and he decided to do it. Anyway, he tells this story though all the time, how he got in there and he counted to 25 with Johannes, and there were other people in there. And he then got out of this ice bath, and he said he felt like he could just run up the mountain. That's how good you feel after it. And I'm like, geez, I tried to tell you that. How many times have I tried to tell you, you know, that ice bathing is so invigorating and so uplifting, and unless you experience it, you know, you don't understand how uplifting and invigorating it is. Johnny did it and he loved it. But it took a lot.
That's awesome. I just got back from the men's retreat down there, and we hiked up Kosciuszko to one of the glacial lakes at the top there, which is totally fine with me, but then when we got out, it was 80-kilometer winds, and that was the punish. It was trying to warm up when we got out.
Wow.
So you guys just got back from New Zealand. What were you doing the same thing over there again, or was it different this time?
No, we did a motorbike adventure ride around New Zealand, around the South Island. We've been to Queenstown and the South Island 4 times, but this is the first time on a motorbike. I actually was part of the crew because I wanted Johnny to have an adventure ride without having to have a pillion on the back. But I did get 2 rides in with him. We went out to Skipper's Canyon, which is one of the 10 most deadliest roads in the world. We went out there, and it's why it's deadly is it's up on the side of the mountain, and it's a very small road, and then it's just sheer cliff face. So you have to be very careful and on your game. But we did that, and it was just amazing. We had the best time, and the group of guys were amazing, and we love adventure. We love, you know, going on the motorbike. Johnny does wheelies with me on the back, and people are like freak out regarding it, and I love it.
I've seen you riding around, and the smile on your face when you're riding is so infectious. It's cool.
It's beautiful. I love it. I love the motorbike.
So you love a good adventure in that playtime. Hey, how important is playtime to have in the relationship?
It's so important. So Johnny and I have been together since I was 16.
Wow.
And I'm 49 next birthday. 59, sorry. Not 49, 59 next
Look 49.
Thank you. And you know, Johnny is the fun guy. I've always been the person who's been really, you know, the cheerleader in regard to getting things done and making things happen. And Johnny's always the fun, organising, okay, what's our next adventure? And I love that, and I believe opposites attract. And he causes me not to work so hard. And mind you, he's an extremely hard worker, but he knows how to play as well. And that's great. So he balances that out for me, and we'll go in our motorhome, we go riding on the motorbike, you know. There's always, we go to the drag races, which are good fun as well. People like, you go to the drag races? I'm like, yeah, I love them. You know, the Top Fueler drag races. And we go and do all these fun things, and it's beautiful. I think it's so important that you have that joy. And I think it's so important in a relationship to grant the other person the permission to evolve as to who they need to be. And, you know, some relationships don't work because people evolve at different levels. And if Johnny and I weren't evolving at the same level, we wouldn't be together after all these years. But we're so blessed. And that's magical, and we have so much fun. You know, so much fun with our family as well. It's beautiful.
Oh, that's beautiful. Just before I ask the last question, are you heading up to see Zach Bush when he comes to Australia?
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know.
Next
Zach
weekend,
Bush.
up in Byron Bay.
I didn't know that.
Him and Charles Eisenstein.
Okay, I'm going to have to. I've been off all social media. Being on the farm, I just engross myself on being on the farm. As such, so we'll definitely look at that for sure. We've got people coming. We always have visitors here as well. So I'll have to just look and see who I've got here, and go from there.
And before I ask the last question, I just want to share with the audience listening that how much you embody that mother archetype. When my wife was pregnant, you gave me a vegetable broth to take home to my wife to give her that nutrition. And also organic chicken homemade pie, which was delicious. And when I was eating it, I could feel the energy in it, like you were saying
and
before.
Love. Love's the number one ingredient.
Yeah. So for any new mamas out there that might be listening, do you have any advice, or maybe some dads as well, that because I feel like there'll be a few males that be listening to this podcast, so maybe if they want to take something home to their wife to share, or any mamas out there that might be listening, do you have any advice for them?
Well, mainly in regard to, honouring our bodies and, trying as much as you can. I know we have, different people have different means as such. Trying as much as you can to honour your body and honour your health so as to prevent illness. As such, don't wait for an illness to strike you. As such, do your best to honour your body to prevent that from happening. And especially if you're planning on having children as such, having babies if you haven't had babies as of yet, then really looking at, okay, how can I detox my body to support that little being that's going to come into this world and be, a permanent, my husband likes to say, when you have children, it's like a permanent visitor for the rest of your life, which it is. And, no matter how old they are, they will always, and that's so beautiful, and, honouring those children by doing the best you can to ensure that your body is healthy, when you're having children, and then honouring after you have your children, honouring them by ensuring your home is as healthy as it can possibly be.
Because it's not just about you, it's that epigenetics now is really big. The research on that is how you can just pass down. It might not affect you, but who else is it affecting down the line? So,
exactly. And that is, we know that's intergenerational, that we pass chemicals, we pass, different mutations down to our children. A lot of different mutations are caused by environmental impacts and so on. So, trying to honour yourself as much as you can.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thanks so much for doing this. This has been great. And thanks,
that's
Tuffy.
A pleasure. This is little Tuffy. So he was a little rescue boy, and it's a really sad story. His mum wasn't well, so he was surrendered, and now he's in the most beautiful home where he is just loved so much. And animals bring a different a level of love into the home, and he certainly has, but he thinks he owns the place now. Don't you, darling? But thank you for letting me share, about our place, and thank you for everything you do, on this farm as well. It's just beautiful. I love seeing you here. You're a gem. Yeah. So thank you.
Great. Thanks so much. So thanks for your time, and I'll see you soon. And thanks, Chris, for filming and doing the audio.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, it's
awesome.
beautiful.
We'll do it again one day.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We certainly can.